Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Power Chat.
Mm-hmm.
My name is Takia. This is Nancy Lewis Hill. And we come to you each week. And this week we come to you talking about expectation. Great expectations. Are they the doorway to disappointment? Or are there other possibilities? We'll get into it in just a moment. As I said, my name is Takia, and I am a kinetic specialist and an activation and lifestyle coach and the creator of the Kinetic Life Revolution, where we help heart-centered seekers and leaders to align with their essential nature and release the weight that is unserving, that could be mental, emotional, or physical, and align their life with their light so they can emerge in their soulful power. Isn't that right, Miss Nancy Lewis Hill?
100%. 100%. I like the vibe right now.
Yes. Yeah. So expectations. Do you have you had any kind of expectant conversation or involvement this week by chance?
Since my decision to move, I've been flooded with expectations. Right?
From within or without?
Both. Yeah, both. Expected that I would adapt differently, or that I would sometimes surprisingly positive that I didn't expect, and some were like, "Oh, did not expect that." Just pause to reflect. Also on the outside too. Outside things that I expected to be a certain that I had anticipated with expectations that was nowhere near what it turned out to be. So, yeah. So your question was, have I? Yeah, I have. And some expectations I've had to really, really look at what was the reason for the expectation, I guess.
Let's talk about that.
Right?
Let's talk about the concept of expectation, right? So a lot of people try to quell their expectations because they are afraid to hope. And so usually it's because they felt the pain of disappointment in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is one way that expectations can show up for us. I've also seen expectation show up immensely in relationships, and also and in relationship with others and with ourselves, as you were just talking about. And all of this talk, I ultimately believe that expectations are another tool for us. And like everything that is neutral, because we bring meaning to everything,
mm-hmm.
I feel that it's a tool. It can be used as a weapon or against ourselves or others, or it can be used as a tool to create something that serves us.
Mm-hmm.
So we can just start, with the expectation used in, let's say, of ourselves, because that's something that we can probably all relate to. I have expectations of myself, and it depends. It's situational. Everything's situational, but there are certain expectations that I have for myself as far as my level of willingness, really to participate in my own life full on. And I don't hold that, I hold myself to some kind of fire, where I'm imprisoned by this expectation, but rather I hold it up as a possibility for my continued becoming, and so in that way it's kind of fun. It's a game, and all I need do is witness myself, when I'm moving toward that and when I'm not. I think if we constantly try to numb our expectations, then we also numb possibility.
Absolutely.
You know,
I
we
agree.
negate possibility.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a well kind of it's well spent time to give attention to your level of expectation for yourself. And I think ultimately underlying all of this entire conversation is really just whether or not the process of the cultivation of expectations is happening consciously or not.
Yeah.
I think that's really the central nugget that need be explored. Because if your expectations are just coming about based on your experience, then they'll always be based on the past. And the soil from which they're being grown is that of the height, the kind of events that had high emotion in the past, and often they're negative. And it's the seeds are of our beliefs. You know, the thoughts and the beliefs and the actions that we've taken in the past that created the results that we've gotten, that then recycled, and we had these thoughts again, and the same beliefs got recycled, and now we're creating expectations from those same beliefs.
Uh-huh.
And so we're getting the same results. And so that's kind of the safe route. And if you're happy and satisfied and joyful about the results you're getting, then keep doing what you're doing. And if there's something that you want to change, then this is a great place to start. You know, and so I think this is the deep dive that is worth taking, because, you know, to really understand, you know, what you believe, to know what you believe. That way you can direct your expectation.
Yeah. It's taken that time. Yeah, it's taken that time to write what you had just said to wrap that up was knowing what you believe. You know, what do you believe? So, and if you have not asked yourself that, then you really need to start there, because and honestly ask yourself, right? And sometimes to be with someone else who can be with you to ask those questions, so that you don't skip over it, right? Because you can, if you're buried into all this, the layers and layers of past experiences dictating what you're going to believe about yourself, right? Then you may quickly give an answer, but to say that, what do I really believe? To peel down into that, because each time we have expectations for ourselves, it does go back to what are my beliefs of myself, right? What is this serving, essentially? What keeps getting fed by this belief, and do I want it to stop, change, or stay on? Is something that needs to be looked at, but that's intentional, as opposed to I just kind of roll with whatever happens, and then afterwards be filled with either regret or remorse or I guess self-disappointment. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but we kind of punish ourselves for the stuff, but we never really did the work to understand what it is we really believe and be intentional about it.
That's true. And so, you know, in this kind of foundational relationship with ourselves, we can look at it as a mirror for the relationships that we have for others, right? You know, are we consciously creating expectations that we carry into our relationships, and are we communicating them to the people that we have them about or for?
Important.
And that's a real issue, because so often we have expectations of other people, and not only do we not communicate them, but we hold them accountable for the expectations we have in our mind.
Right.
And
assuming they should know. They know me.
Right. They should
know.
As if they should just know. And then not only do we do that, but then we interact with them as if they knew and did it on purpose, that they didn't fulfill it.
Right.
Right. So then we have this resentment that's built out of our own mind process. You know, it has nothing to do with anyone else.
No, we created it, and And it further cements in the whole belief again. It starts that cycle over again. That I knew I couldn't count on anybody. I knew I couldn't count on you. I knew that, nothing ever goes right for me. Whatever all those things are,
Right.
if I was going to do it right, it had to be done by me because,
Right.
all of that stuff comes out.
Right. I love that, the examples. So you are working on a project with someone, and and you're supposed to meet at to finish it up, and they call last minute or don't call and don't show. And I knew it. I knew they weren't dependable. I knew that I couldn't count on them. And so sure, that to me says that you're a powerful creator, because if you knew it and you expected it to happen and it happened, woof, good on you. Powerful. Woof. Powerful.
Ring that in.
Hey, use it for good, that kind of power, great responsibility.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
And so, the questions you can ask, did you confirm with them? Did you let them know, that this was very important to you, and that that them show, what it meant to them, to you, for them to be there? Did you let them know that maybe you had some doubt, some misgivings, and about you two working together, and maybe address it rather than just sitting in silence in your own mind and doubting them. These are those questions. This causes us to have these honest conversations that we're also fearful of having, where we just put everything on the table and say what it is.
Yeah. And we're fearful of having them because they just might say that one thing that you just didn't want to address anyways, that you've been avoiding for a very long time. Yeah. And deep down in your core knowledge, self foundation, that there's something you're going to have to work on, but we fear hearing it. So, which is interesting because we already know it in some cases, but we don't want to hear it.
Hearing it makes it real, right? Yeah. It makes it concrete, and it gives us a new experience. It confirms our beliefs about ourselves, that we're not worthy, that we're not good enough, right? So that affirmation, that confirmation of our worst thoughts about ourselves, are what we avoid.
And of course, having the healthy conversation, right? Because you're listening to this and you may be thinking, well, if I brought this up with this person, like, you can have that whole conversation within yourself. If I brought this up with this person, they're going to say this. They're not going to recognize this and say it would be a waste of my breath because it's going to go nowhere and they're going to make me feel terrible. And like that's a kind of, can you just dive into that a little bit? Because that's a narrative in and of itself, right? Because it doesn't mean don't have that kind of conversation. It also doesn't mean that whatever a person says in response to what you say is like the end all. But it's what you're talking about here is just opening that conversation up to say, this is what's going on. This is what I'm thinking is going to happen because I'm trusting you. Or if that's your problem, if your challenge is, I feel like I got to do it all myself because nobody else will ever do it as good as me. Or someone will think I'm stupid because when they realize that I don't know how to do it, there's a lot of stuff that being able to say to somebody that, this is what's on my mind, they may actually, depending on the person they are, they will have their own reactions. But
so you hit it right on the head as far as like the topics of the conversation. But you don't necessarily have to have that conversation with every person. That conversation can be had with yourself, where you write down the fears that you have, that are coming up, that are driving the thoughts that you're having about, that are causing the expectations that are basically becoming premonitions. And then from that process of you going through that process with yourself, you can go to them and say something solid and clear. Like, it would really mean a lot to me, if you really follow through. So, that we could do it together. Like make a honest and earnest request.
That's the point, right?
Right.
The
Rather
honest and
than,
earnest request, not the "you never do this for me." It becomes accusational. It's like, since I can never count on you, this. It's like, this is what I need from you. I need to know that you will be there on Saturday. Is this? Can I count on that? That kind of a just blunt. I
with,
need you to be there for me. Can I count on you? That kind of a thing. Is that what you're saying?
um, it just depends on the person, right?
Mhm.
I'm just saying to separate the conversations. The messy internal conversation doesn't always need to be had with the other person. Everyone can decide the level of intimacy that they're wanting to create and or that they currently have, and the level of comfort that they have with the person involved or people involved.
Could be a coworker. It could be somebody very not close to you at all.
Which may or may not change the way that you go about the process. Just know that you can have that internal conversation with yourself first, so that you can be really clear and make a request based in your true desire versus based in your illusion and your story.
Boom.
And then, and that's how you build, rapport. And that's how you can be fully expressed in an exchange, without, necessarily putting all of your stuff into someone else's hands. Right. Because it's, that might happen in a partnership where you guys live together and you just need to work it out in the moment. And your goal is to build intimacy. And so you let people see, and hear all the messy conversation that goes on in between. And then they see the whole process of how you got to the request. That might happen,
Mm-hmm.
but that's a different relationship. That's a different outcome that you're seeking. Perhaps in this outcome, perhaps you're just seeking, again, with the intentional outcome, right? Maybe you're just seeking to get this thing actually completed. And the best way that you're giving yourself the best chance at getting it completed by being honest about what it is that you desire. Yeah. So another great way we can use expectations, is for this manifesting, consciously, right? Like if we hold an expectation of people following through for us all the time, and I always get exactly what my heart desires, and the universe is always conspiring in my best interest, and I expect to have great things happen to me on a daily basis, then the likelihood is that you're going to experience great things on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And so just as it works in every other way, you can consciously cultivate that type of energetic vortex for yourself, that energetic pull, that energetic atmosphere of attraction,
Mm-hmm.
And alignment, really.
Mm-hmm.
And a great way to really kind of settle into that place of alignment is to kind of reverse engineer the process, really lean into the physical nature of the doing, and then work backwards through the saying and then the thinking, so this is plenty of juiciness to work with. So tell us what you think about expectations. We'd love to hear it. Have you had experiences where you had expectations of someone and then were disappointed, and how did that affect your future relationships?
Mm-hmm.
Did it change the way that you are in the world? Have you dared to revisit that process for yourself, to align yourself with what it is that your heart desires? Are you consciously cultivating your expectations, and have you thought about their basis in your belief systems that you've created over time? So these are questions that you can ask yourself, and the best way I find is really to do it in the moment, right? When you're having an experience and you're feeling out of alignment, you're
Mm-hmm.
feeling angry, or you're feeling resentful, or you're feeling frustrated, these are the small but not so small opportunities, small these moments of when you're feeling out of alignment with yourself in a kind of a juxtaposition or out of in a place of discord. These are the moments that you can really lean in and do this process of what am I thinking right now that got me this emotional, and what am I really angry about, or what am I really hurting about? What am I hurting myself with right now? What story am I telling myself that has really led me to feeling this way? You know, what must I believe about them in order for that to be true? You know,
That's such a good one.
what expectation did I have that wasn't met?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so often, you know, that's the kind of the meat and potatoes, is that there's some expectation that you were holding that didn't get met, and you're either angry or hurt or sad about it. And so what is that? And was it an expectation that served you? Is it something that you communicated and didn't get met with? And was it a clean process where, you know, the person made a different choice? Because it's really not about them. If you keep it about yourself and really that internal dialogue, and explore where and how you've arrived where you are,
Yeah.
then there's a space between you and the other person that can be filled with clarity, a clarity of connection and exchange, that you've gotten clear about how you really feel and what you were thinking, and that got you to this emotional state. And then from there can actually be an exchange that could lead to something, you know, worthwhile, some more intimacy or more clarity, you know, or a decision not to continue to be in relationship.
That's the clarity.
Or change the dynamics of the relationship, whatever it is.
Right.
So we have an opportunity every single time. And
in that moment,
us, you know.
Right.
This week, I really spent I was very, very present. I've been doing these kind of practices for a while, and when I noticed that that energy is kind of frenetic around me, and I think it's there because probably still fallout from the pandemic and all of the new kind of out spurs that are popping up, and all lines of possibilities that are popping up from that whole conversation. And people still are not quite right yet, not back to themselves, not feeling safe, not feeling, you know, in a peaceful place. They're not feeling themselves fully.
Sure.
You know, and I think so many people either feel under constant threat of something, either fear of getting something or fear of giving something, or it's just a very interesting and different environment to be interacting in. And then there are whatever the kind of load that people were carrying before the pandemic hit, and then all of the kind of varying lines of potential stress that came from the, you know, being you know, in quarantine, and people's jobs were disrupted, relationships disrupted, their routines disrupted. People are still recovering. And so in this kind of environment, I'm very mindful of how I'm being, what energy I'm bringing into spaces, and how I'm responding, you know, when people are being doing what they're doing. And this is true in traffic. This is true face to face. In every way, I'm being very mindful, and not to say that I'm critiquing, or I'm just setting my state before I go. I'm choosing peace before I go. And then when I get there, I'm not meeting anything with reactivity, like deeper. And I was already, and I've all, you know me, people comment on my lack of like reactivity. Like I just don't get surprised by a lot of things. I just don't get pissed off very easily. Like I don't get angry very easily. Like it takes a lot for me to get like ramped up and super emotional about things. Except during those 2 weeks, I get really sentimental. I can cry pretty easily when I'm hormonal. But other than that, I don't flare up. and this is a constant and conscious process of responding,
Mhm.
taking pause, knowing it's not about me. Whatever energy they're bringing is not about me.
Right.
Knowing that how I respond has everything to do with who I am and how I'm being, and it's not about them.
Right.
So really, these things that we talk about all the time, really living in them, in a way that is honest and feels good, and honors my own feelings.
Mhm.
Not to say that you're pushed over and you just let people do and say whatever. It's just that the response doesn't have to be adding fire to fire.
Right.
You know.
Right. It goes right back into um, so many of us are not right now. And we're coming out of something that we never had to do before, and to reemerge into something that we never really understood to begin with. And how do we're all adapting to something very, very foreign to us. All of us are. And how we respond to it in the world is going to be different. The people that we knew before, I will not necessarily respond and react and behave in the way that we knew them before as well, because they're dealing with something. But to go in with that, the presence of peace,
Yeah.
right? A presence of understanding. It doesn't mean, like you said, it's not the pushover. It's not like, oh, everybody can run me over with whatever they want or think or do or act. It's more as if it's just an understanding that they're dealing with something. It's just I wish you peace, because
Yeah.
I don't know what you're dealing with, but you've got something, and
Yeah.
I don't have to own this. And you just gently, quietly, strongly walk away from some things that you need to, and just decide that I've chosen peace, and so I'm not going to add, like you said, no need to add to the fire. There's already something going on. You're not everybody's therapist, so you don't need to go into it, but you just need to be that person that says, I don't think you need any more fuel. I think you're good.
And it's also a choice for personal mental health and
Yeah.
well-being as well. Like I just choose not to interact on like unnecessarily with people who are always on the brink of exploding.
Mm-hmm.
If people are not well and not under their own control, they don't have mastery of their emotions,
Mm-hmm.
mastery of their state, and then can't stop that kind of transition from thought to word to then doing something, and they're very reactive physically. I certainly don't want to be in constant contact or relationship with that.
No.
So
And you can choose that.
yeah.
Right? Just choose not to be a part of it, and not to fuel it, and just be, I'm just going to step away from this.
And not judging it. It's just, it is what it
That's
is. It's just making a choice, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm not going to wear that green shirt today. Simple as that. It's the same feeling if you
That's
put
it.
it the right way. It's just I'm not choosing that.
Yeah.
I never wear that color, and I'm not going to start it now. It's like I just don't wear yellow. It's the same feeling. It's like, just don't do that. I don't surround myself with this energy, and so today is another day I just won't do that. So
yeah.
I wish you peace.
Yes. So on that note, I think that we've talked about a lot of really important things today, Nance.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So drop us a line in the comments if you have topics that you'd like us to address, or if you have questions or things that you want to explore with us. We are all open to that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we want to share with you that we have a group called the Kinetic Life Revolution, where we have this type of discussion and help people to navigate this type of personal development, as well as their lifestyle and putting their lifestyle into congruence with their true nature, right? We're not just, humans, but we are spiritual beings as well, having this experience as humans and navigating and moving into purpose and on purpose, and with the integrity and self-love and trust and knowing that we need in order to be our best selves and to share our genius with the world. What better time and energy, kind of deposits could be made than that, and spending time and energy doing that, right? And having our external worlds reflected, from a peaceful, loving, aligned inner world.
Mm. It even sounds good.
Right? I know it.
It does.
So
It just sounds good to hear it. So, yes.
So we'll drop a link to the group in the comments and knock on our door, and we're happy to have you. And we'll see you next week.
Yes.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Right here.
Just know that you are not just enough. You are more than enough. You are necessary to the unfoldment of the cosmos, and your genius is needed by the world as we continue to elevate the consciousness of both our individualized spark of the divine as well as the collective. And namaste.
So
Namaste. Namaste, baby.
Namaste. Go ahead and go be the amazingly made creature that you are. Design it, change it, twist it up, whatever you want. You are your own creation, believe it or not. Start believing it and design the life out of that thing. Make it everything you want it to be, and enjoy. Until next week. There it is. There, kinetic life.
KL Live, baby. KL Live.
Right. We'll see you. Hopefully, see you in our group.
Peace and love.